Welcome back to the studio. We're going to be using eco resin and UV resin to create some pendants and keychains of the magical realm. Of course, we've got to have some sparkle and some really cute stickers because you know how I like my stickers. But let me tell you, there was a lot of trial and error in this video. So I'm going to share it all with you so that you can skip the frustration and get straight to the making magic part. So grab your supplies and let's get started. For this project, I used my favorite Resin water-based eco resin by J. Diction. Don't mind the mousse mold. I made these pendants as a side note when I was mixing the eco resin for another project. You might have seen that in another video. And then I got this great set of closed back bezels on Amazon, and I used my leftover Resincrete and filled them up, thinking ahead that I might want to do some fun creative pendants or keychains with them. And in 30 minutes, they are cured and we're ready to move on. That's the great thing about Resincrete is it's not messy, it's not smelly, and it cures really quick. I have these UV DTF stickers. I've used some of these in other projects before, but I don't know, I was just feeling the spirit of the fairy again. You know, I love my fairies. So I got out the Fae Folk. Aren't they adorable? And I thought they would look really cute on these vintage style bezels. Really whimsical and fun. So cutting out a few that I think I might want to use. Remember to leave some room around your sticker when you're cutting it out. It makes it a lot easier to place it later on. We're also going to need some UV resin. The reason being that these stickers won't stick to Resincrete without that base of UV resin down to adhere to. I'm also going to use some glitters and these gorgeous pearlescent UV resin colors, which are opaque, by Let's Resin. Make sure when you're working with resin that you wear all the safety gear that's recommended. You want to put gloves on, a mask on. I also have my Resiner's air purifier going, and I'll show you that during the video, how it responds to different VOCs in the air. I highly recommend this if you're going to be working with resin in your studio or craft room. The first one, I'm just going to put a clear layer of resin down. I'm going to put down my first coat of UV resin on all of these and cure them before I put the stickers on, simply because I cannot put stickers on with these gloves on, so I'm going to do a little bit of an assembly line here and try different things. You just want to tap, tap, tap around the edges so it domes right up to the edge. And I use a lighter to pop the bubbles, which I'm not too worried about on this first layer because we're going to be putting a sticker over it. I'm going to cure it under my favorite UV resin lamp. This is actually two-sided, but I'm just going to use one side for this project. And here you see our first coat of UV resin. On the second one, I think I'll use a combo of pearlescent resins. Aren't these colors beautiful? I love this product. But you're going to see a problem I have later on in the video. I'm going to add a little bit of clear UV resin also, spread it out, cure it, and you can see I'm using it and curing it, and my air purifier and my VOC meter is still reading green for go and a really low number on VOCs. One of the reasons I love Let's Resin's UV resin is because out of all the ones I've tried, it's the least smelly so far. And here's what that one looks like. On this next one, I'm going to use clear UV resin with some of my glitz glitter. I love this stuff, especially as a backdrop for stickers. It gives it just a perfect sparkle background, which of course all my little fae folk need a little bit of sparkle in their pendant. Just make sure you don't mix in too much because you want the light to be able to cure through it and cure that UV resin. Quite different than using epoxy resin. And don't forget you can place your silicone tools under there and the resin will peel right off and you are ready to reuse them. And look at that sparkle. This is going to make a nice backdrop for one of those stickers. And if you're a painter, you could use watercolor or acrylics and you could just paint straight on the eco resin and then UV resin over it. I just don't happen to be that talented. I'm trying to convince my husband to paint some of these eco resin pours for me. We will see if that ends up happening in the future. Now on this bezel, it does not lay flat because of the loop-de-doop, but just put a popsicle stick right underneath and give me a level surface to apply my resin to. And that's another good tip for you. Make sure you're working on a level surface when you're pouring any resin so it doesn't go over the side and off of the project. This one got my wheels turning about some seascapes I could do because look how beautiful that is swirling together. All right, now that our first layer is all done and we've cured it and we've let them cool down, it's time to apply our stickers. And a lot of you ask about my supplies and where I get them. I always leave a lengthy list in the description under the video with links and even discount codes when available. And quite a few of these products do have discount codes on them, so be sure to check that out. You can see that our little bird needs a bit of a trim. So I trim him up and set him aside, and we're going to add a top coat of clear resin to all these, and it's just going to make them pop. But first, let's keep applying all of our stickers so I don't have to put my gloves on and off. And it's just a matter of picking which sticker you want to go on which piece. And you just rub them down and then peel that top layer right off. Doesn't this little fairy just make you smile? I love her. And here's where we end up beginning to have a problem. I go to apply a fairy onto one of my pearlescent pieces and she won't adhere. So I'm going to set that one aside and move on. Again, I'm going to add one of our little stickers to one that I had mixed with the pearlescent. It took a little doing, but I finally got her to peel off. No problem whatsoever with the clear and glitter resin or the clear, except, oops, this sometimes does happen on these closed back bezels when you're working with Resincrete. The back popped right off, which isn't a problem at all because you can just glue it back down. But this was actually a happy accident because look at that cool pattern in the Resincrete that it created. Again, some of these accidents turn into ideas for future projects. So I'm going to just go ahead and finish peeling her off, and then I'll glue that piece down with some E6000 and let it dry before we place our top coat on her. Moving on to another of our pearlescent pieces. Again, I have the same problem. No matter what I do, it will not adhere to the piece. About this time, I'm starting to realize there is a common denominator here, and that is the pearlescent UV resin. So I clean up my pieces, scrape off the little parts that did stick, get my alcohol wipes out and clean them up real good. And I'm going to test this theory by putting some just clear resin over the top of it and then seeing if the stickers will adhere. But let me show you how this alcohol wipe set off our air cleaner, and look at it go from green to red. and the VOCs jumped way up. And that was just from it detecting me using an alcohol wipe. So that had a lot more VOCs than our UV resin did, just FYI. I'm going to go ahead and top these difficult pieces off with just some clear UV resin and cure them. Let them cool, and then we're going to repeat our sticker applying process. Thank goodness this package comes with tons of stickers because I ended up wasting quite a few. And wouldn't you know it, I didn't even have to try. Just put it down, rubbed it on a little bit with my fingers, and it came right off. So now we know, and now you know, that if you're going to use that pearlescent UV resin, which I absolutely love, you're going to have to put a clear coat on top of it because the stickers, or at least these stickers, for some reason will not adhere. Now, I think some other kinds would, but these UV DTFs, for some reason, trouble. But I love it so much that I probably would just add another clear coat because I love the pearlescent colors. Now that we had that dilemma figured out, it's time to top coat all of them and give them that final touch. And you just simply use your UV resin to dome it up with. Try to coax it to the edge. Do your best to pop those bubbles, but don't freak out about bubbles. Some of mine have bubbles. It's okay. It's art. It's unique. Everyone's individual. And mistakes are okay. Pop them under the UV lamp for just a couple of minutes. And here's what that looks like with that extra dome top coat. Doesn't it just pop? These fairies are so stinking cute. I can't hardly even stand it. Now for those pearlescents that I had to dome up an extra layer underneath, they've got quite a hill, and I'm afraid that my UV resin is going to flow over the side. So in this case, I'm going to use some of my UV top coat nail gel, which is basically just UV resin, but it's thicker and I can brush it on. Unfortunately, it's not very cost effective because it's small, but in times like this, it's really nice to have on hand. And then I'm going to move on and finish these off. And I think I'll make a keychain or a backpack clip out of one. And the one that doesn't have the loop at the top, I'm going to turn that into a magnet. And the other ones, I think I'll wait for my granddaughter to get here and see if she'd like to make keychains or necklaces out of them. Isn't this adorable? I hope that you've learned something from this video and it's been useful, and I'd really love to hear which one is your favorite in the comments below, and if you've ever had these kind of problems working with your UV resin. Have a great day and happy creating, everyone!